Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and another card making video. Today I am guest designing for iCrafter. They have this fun new die set out that is called the Slimline Knit, Knots, and Stitches die set. So I'm showing you here how each of those pieces look when you die cut them out. These pieces right here are cut from the knitting die. This one here is the knots. And then the final one is this stitching. So you can combine these dies together, use them independently, cut them down. They're just crazy cool. Such neat slimline dies. And this is the stitching one here. I'm going to use all three in my cards today, but here you can see each of them die cut out. They are 8.5 inches long and work great for slimline cards, but again, you can cut them down to make them fit any size card you want. So here's what you do. You're going to take these and kind of insert them into each other. So this is the first time I've done this. Right here, I wanted to show you kind of the learning curve that is putting these knitting ones together. So the look that you're supposed to get is like something that has been hand knit together, and I am new at crocheting and trying that out, and so I really wanted to play with this and get that knit look. So you just want to pinch the loop that's on the back side and insert it through the loop on the front side. So you can see I'm using my right hand to do that, and my cardstock doesn't really want to bend. It really just wants to fold. So I was trying to be really careful, but the more careful I was, the more scraggly my loops looked when I put them through the loop on top. So I wasn't sure what to do there. I thought, you know, my motto is always just to keep going. But I brought out my scoring tool or my crease tool and used the end of it and kind of flattened out where I had to bend it, and it worked really nicely to make that look better. So there's the first row put together. Now I'm going for an ombre look because I have a ton of purples and I thought it would look really cool. Like on the front of the package, they have the pink ombre. So that's what I'm doing. And so I decided, let's see if it's easier if I flip it over and do this from the back side. Will that go faster? And no, it does not. Not for me. So I decided I'm going to fold with my left hand and insert it with my left hand instead of trying to work from the right or trying to work from the back side. And that actually ended up being the trick that worked best for me. Now, my cardstock was very crisp, and so I couldn't bend it. Like I said, it just had to fold. And so instead of trying to not fold it, I just went ahead and folded it. And that actually looked better than if I did less folding and tried to drag it through there. It got more roughed up if I tried to drag it through there than just purposefully folding it and inserting it through that loop and then pulling it. So there it is with 3 rows. I'm actually going to do 5 and go all the way from my lightest purple to my darkest purple. So here I am adding that 4th row, and this time I have it down, and that was really the way to do it. Pinch, insert, and pull with my left hand. So then you can see you can kind of stretch this out and pull it tight, and that's when it looks really good. So I added my 5th row there, and it is super cool. I love it. So you can see there, it kind of stretches out, and that's when it looks really good. It looks so much like knitting. It's paper knitting. Okay, so to adhere this, I am using this new, it's not new technique, but a technique I've recently started doing a lot more of, painting the glue on with a sponge-like brush, because it's so big and it's kind of intricate, and it just goes faster to apply the glue like this. I have a paper towel underneath to catch any excess, and then as I glue this down, the reason why I wanted to use liquid glue is because you kind of need to move it as you go, and there is excess glue on top. You really can pick that up with a paper towel and it really will take that away. I worked it a lot to kind of stretch it out and get it straight, so some of the glue kind of dried before I could pick it up, And I probably need to go back in with an adhesive eraser and remove some of that. I didn't notice it too much until I saw the close-up pictures of it. So next, I am taking that stitching die. I just cut a 4-inch section, and then I thought I would try to sketch out a sentiment, because you can really stitch anything you want on this die, what's so cool about it. So I wrote out the word smile, and I used just a black liner pen. I probably should have used a pencil and went really light, but because I didn't, I decided to go ahead and use some black embroidery floss that would hopefully cover up all of my pen marks there. So I cut a kind of a long length there, and then I'm going to separate this so I only have 2 threads thick. And then I'm going to stitch this up and just follow my writing there, what I wrote, and then it will give me a guide as to where to go. Now, the holes in this die that this die makes are not very big. So I actually had to pull out a thinner needle than what I usually use when I'm stitching on cardstock, because I've done this lots of times, even though I'm not much in the way of crafts that involve fiber, like the stitching, like the crochet, like the knitting. That's not my forte. Like, paper is my forte, but it's super fun to combine the two together. So since those holes were really small, I brought out my thicker needle that I normally use for stitching and just poked them. And then I didn't have to use my needle to poke from the front and then stitch from the back. They were already kind of bigger enough for me to stitch on them. And that worked really good. It was very helpful. It was well worth the extra minute that it took. So you can see here I'm just going up one hole and down through the next, kind of using a back stitch technique. Now for the hole or the dot, it's called a tittle on the eye. I decided to try to make like a French knot and go in right beside where I'd stitched, and that worked to make the tittle for the eye, but it didn't really make a French knot. So that's okay. I took one last stitch, went through the loop on the back to tie a knot, and that finishes up my stitched sentiment that says smile. And I am very pleased with how it turned out. I love that I could write my own sentiment and stitch it on there. You could totally use this die without stitching on it at all and make a really cool looking background. Like, think of making strips of this in different colors, like rainbow colors, and putting them down your card. That would look super cool. I trimmed this down a little bit and then adhered it with a mixture of some double stick tape and glue. Next, I'm going to add a Glimmer hot foiled sentiment. Hot foil is hot right now. I love it. I have done lots of Glimmer hot foiling. This is a new everyday sentiment Glimmer hot foil set from Spellbinders. All of those sentiments are Glimmer plates, and then there were some dies you can use to cut them out into banners. So I'm going to use some black foil. I'm trimming down a really narrow strip of this using my quick trimmer. It has a self-healing mat, the cutting guide that goes on top, and these blades. There's one to cut foil and one to cut paper. So you can cut sentiment strips with your paper as well using this quick trimmer. Okay, so to hot foil this, I'm going to take the foil, put it on my cardstock with the pretty side up. I'm going to tape that in place, and then I'll bring in my sentiment plate. I'm going to put that with the print side down and tape that onto my foil. My Glimmer hot foil machine has been heating up, but I know it's not ready yet until that green light comes on. Once the green light's on, my system is heated up and ready to go. I put my paper and plate piece face down. I press the timer, and once that timer stops flashing, I can remove the entire dock and run that with the plates on top that come with the machine through my die cutting machine. That's going to press that plate into that hot foil and into my cardstock and transfer that foil in whatever shape you're hot foiling into your cardstock. I use the magnetic tool that comes with the Glimmer system to remove that because it is hot. And then you can see here my black metallic foiled sentiment on my purple cardstock. Now I'm going to use the dies that come with this sentiment plate set to cut this out. One thing that you really should know is that you never want to put your tape over your letters or your foiling because it can remove some of the shine of the foiling. So there's my sentiment all ready to go. Because I'm going to overlap my sentiment and I'm overlapping all that not the stitch, what is it called? The knitted background that I made. I am going to double up my cardstock. So I added another banner behind that. And then I even doubled up my double stick tape on the back just to give it a tiny bit of lift, and added some liquid glue because it's adhering to so many different surfaces of different heights. That extra glue is really going to help. T-square ruler there really helped me get that straight, but I still messed up right here. I put my card front on upside down, and luckily I caught it in time and was able to flip that over and add it to my card base. Now the card base I made a little bit bigger. It's 8 1/4 by 7 1/2, scored at 3 3/4. I just wanted a nice dark border all the way around to draw your eye into the center there. And then I'm adding some gems that I had on hand in purple and gluing those in place just for some added embellishment. Also, I didn't get it on perfectly straight, so I feel like embellishments kind of help hide any crookedness. It's a theory, but I like it. So I die cut the knot border and added that to the inside of the card for a pop on the inside as well. So that finishes off my card with this Slimline knit, knots, and stitching die set. It's crazy cool, right? I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will have links to this in the description box below so you can check it out. And I will be back again with another iCrafter video very soon, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you on the next video. Happy stamping! Bye!